AskReddit by the Dodo Devil. What is a thing considered lower middle class that you'd continue doing even if you became wealthy? The clearance rack. Feels like a coup every time I find something for a good price. My wealthy in-laws are the cheapest people I know. They travel and have fun, but they absolutely will not pay full retail if they can avoid it. Have a bag of bags. I could be a millionaire and still have a grocery bag filled with other grocery bags. I'm so glad somebody else calls it a bag of bags. I still want a smaller house. Big mansions do not impress me, even if I could afford the extra costs, utilities, plus furnishings, etc. With having a larger home, I don't want one. I don't want to live in a broom closet, of course, but a cozy little house or cottage is good enough for me. Smaller house with better furnishings and technology like heated floors, better shower tub, indoor sauna, etc. A more streamlined house. Live in the smallest house that fits my needs. I don't need a ton of space. I would move to a great location though. That can be a problem sometimes. There's some nice neighborhoods I like that I could have afforded, but the houses were all just too big. F that. Drive normal cars. At least most of the time. After I became an attorney, my colleagues kept saying I should get a Mercedes or BMW or whatever they had. No thanks, I'm super happy with my beat-ass Subaru. Grocery bags repurposed to small trash bags. My region banned grocery bags for environmental reasons, so everyone is forced to use paper bags or reusable cloth bags. So for the first time in my life I had to go out and buy garbage bags. So much for being environmentally friendly. Comparing prices. Grew up super poor, and even though I'm comfortable enough now to not need to always shop around, I still will debate in the aisle over a 25-cent difference. I was at Anthropology today with my mom and I saw a shirt that was interesting, but it was $58. My mom asked me if I wanted it and I said no, and then she offered to buy it. I had to tell her it's the principle because I'm 30 and can buy my own stuff and I don't want to wear a cotton shirt that is $60. We wouldn't have to eat craft dinner, but we would eat craft dinner, that's right, we'd just eat more. But would you buy really expensive ketchups? Dijon ketchup? My dogs and cats will always come from the pound shelter roadside ditch rescue. I will never spend $1,000 on a papered puppy or kitten. The 3 best cats in my life came from being in a bar at the right time. Hey, yeah, want a kitten? Treating everyone with respect no matter how rich or poor, and I won't let money change me in that way. My wife and I are far from rich, but we saved up to do something special for our 20th wedding anniversary. We rented a high-end suite in a luxury hotel on Central Park in Nick. Most of the guests were impeccable dressed, especially in the evenings. But we just bummed around in shorts and t-shirts. After all, we were there to relax and have fun, not to impress anyone. One thing I noticed right away was that some of those impeccable dressed people treated the staff with indifference. But that's not me. I try to treat everyone with respect. So, instead of ignoring the staff or treating them like servants, I did my best to get to know them. By the end of our week-long stay, I learned some of their names, their life stories, and where they were from. I even got to see pictures of the doorman's dog. And I'd like to think if I were actually rich, and not just pretending to wealthy, I would have treated them exactly the same way. Eating peanut butter out of the jar with a spoon. Eat pizza every week. Eating fast food from the rough part of town. 4-pound shawarmas, amazing fried chicken, Chinese restaurants where you're the only English guy, little Greek cafes with cheap gyros and amp, souvlaki. It's cheaper than shopping. In fact, my wife and I doing okay. Joint income of just over £100k. We eat out around 5 nights a week. Chinese place with a son or daughter of the owner at the counter with an iPad. You know that food is about to make your day. Leaving the oven open after use to warm up the place. Core childhood memory right there. Public transport. I enjoy riding buses. Hell yeah man. I've been taking trains, trams and metro to work for the past 15 years and actively seek out jobs I can easily reach using public transport. After a certain point acquaintances started grilling me about why I didn't take the car instead. Clearly I had the money by now. Why would I want to spend 45 minutes every day actively scooting along in a traffic jam when I could just be chilling and looking outside, reading a book or watching videos instead? Shopping my own groceries. Buying cup of noodles and Kraft mac and cheese. Eat tacos standing up on the sidewalk. Edit. The thought of being wealthy and being able to do anything made the fact that I'm quadriplegic slip my mind. If you're wealthy enough you buy you some robot legs. Bring my lunches and a flask of coffee to work. I'm not paying for mediocre food and coffee on work days. Big coffee drinker here and yeah, it doesn't matter how much I have in extra funds, the first flask is from my home pot. Here are a few that come to mind. Being anal about not wasting food. I don't buy what I'm not going to eat, and even most scraps end up being used in something. Driving an economical car. I drive a Prius, and I can't stand driving a bigger or fancier car. Besides not wanting to waste gas, it just holds no attraction to me to have a fancy car. Cleaning my own house. Preparing my own food. My wife and I do occasionally get someone to help clean, but it just isn't comfortable to either of us to have someone in the house taking care of everything. Plus we are both very particular about how things are done that we end up doing half the work anyway if we try to have someone else do it. Buying second-hand clothes. So many clothes now are made from such cheap materials that they feel terrible to wear and fall apart after a few washes. I do metal machine work and some welding. I buy 25 plus shirts a year at Goodwill. Must be cotton because poly will melt. I'm always lighting myself on fire. Driving my Corolla around and not buy some stupidly expensive unreliable car that costs a fortune to drive and repair. This is 100% me. Grew up upper middle class but will always shop clearance, it's the thrill of the hunt for me. Shopping at thrift stores. Why pay full price for something when you can find gems for a fraction of the cost? Plus, it's better for the environment. For sure. A friend of mine bought a new couch for 1,100 euros. My whole place was half the price from second-hand things that can last for at least 5 years. Certain comfort meals. Hot dogs cut up in mac and cheese or baked beans for me. Yum. Be very careful when I buy expensive shit. You can get rich but I bet you never lose the fear lol. Eminem at his peak calling his manager to double check if he can afford a Rolex springs up to mind. Deleted. Interesting, I've never heard camping described as low class or considered it to be. I don't know if it counts as lower middle class, or just plain middle class but cars. There is no amount of money where I would ever feel good buying a Range Rover, or a Mercedes, or any brand that is notorious for high maintenance costs. I'm all about that Subaru Honda life. I expect to drive my Toyota Highlander until it dies. And I don't expect that to be anytime soon.